course.
Okay, appreciate all the great information. We're going to move things over to Raqib with the Maryland DOT. So if you'd like to go ahead and get your slides up, Raqib, that'd be great.
Uh, Thank you, Nick. I'm going to ask Adam to please. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, thank
Loud
you.
and clear.
So, once again, my name is Mohammed Raqib. I work for the Maryland Department of Transportation, Office of Transportation, Mobility, and Operations. Next slide, please. So a lot of you are probably familiar with the predecessor of our office. The name of the office at the time used to be called CHART, the Coordinated Highways Action Response Team. And that kind of goes into a little bit of the history of the program. Back in the mid 1980s, our program originated in helping out the beach traffic going from the Baltimore and Washington metropolitan areas to the Atlantic Ocean. And at the time, the program was called Reach the Beach. And it was basically focused in managing incidents, making sure non-recurring congestion did not, become out of control and so forth. And our program succeeded so much that looking at the success, we basically continued to grow into a larger, much bigger office. On the screen is the mission statement. It's basically we are trying to improve safety and mobility through the use of technology and interagency teamwork. And we kind of kept our mission statement as is from inception. Essentially, we've been doing TSMO since it was not called TSMO at the time, but we've been doing traffic incident management and traveler monitoring and so forth. Next slide, please, Adam. So in the first couple of slides, you'll see me talk through what we are doing in terms of adoption and utilization of new technology so that we can implement TSMO strategies in the arena of traffic incident management, traffic monitoring, travelers information, and emergency operations, things that we've been doing for a long, long time. And towards the end, I'll get into a little bit of detail into traffic management. I know Nevada said they had a very robust traffic management program. This is something new for us in Maryland State Highway Administration because the way our agency is set up. So I represent the access controlled highway section of the Department of Transportation. My sister office, Office of Traffic and Safety, they are mandated with managing traffic on signalized arterials. But through the adoption of TSMO and that led to some changes in organization, now we collaborate, coordinate at a much more tactical level for enhanced traffic management. So towards the end, I'll get into some of the newer exciting things we're doing in traffic management. Next slide, please. This is, in case you are not familiar with the state of Maryland, here's a map of the Maryland, and I have highlighted in the map the corridors and the roadways where we provide traffic patrols. So for the Baltimore and Washington metro areas, we're essentially 24/7, 365. In Western Maryland, we do part of the day, each day of the week. And the Eastern Shore, Maryland Eastern Shore, where we have a lot of beach traffic going from Baltimore, Washington to the Atlantic Ocean, to the beaches in the Atlantic Ocean. That's where we provide incident management and traffic operations support during the summer travel months. But typically in Maryland, it's not just summer, but we start in May and go all the way to September, because we've seen that over the years, the beach traffic has grown. And the duration of the beach traffic patrol has also grown. One thing to note that all our vehicles are AVL equipped, and we have developed a very robust, as you know, I'll talk to it. We have our own custom-built advanced traffic management system. We have thousands of field devices, cameras, dynamic message signs, different kinds of traffic detection devices, ATRs, RTMS, and so forth. a whole bunch of weather sensors, both hockey pucks on the street as well as non-invasive ones for that support our ATMS so that we can provide the information to the traveling public. In the slide, next slide, please. In my presentation, one thing will keep coming up is everything we are doing essentially boils down to the fact that we want to detect and verify incident quickly. We want to make sure our responders are safe. We want to make sure the information we collect is also shared with the traveling public quickly. And we want to make sure that we communicate with all the stakeholders, the first responders, very uniformly, clearly. And one of the ways we've been doing that is through our partnership with Maryland State Police, the law enforcement in the statewide law enforcement agency here. For the longest time, we have a dedicated liaison who seats at the statewide operations center. We also have AM and PM coverage through the MSP troopers on an as-needed basis. But very recently, in 2023, we started another program. It's called TIM, Traffic Incident Management Unit. So essentially, it's a 6-member unit that we formed. That MSP provides 6 officers. They report directly and they coordinate, communicate directly to the TMC here. The idea here is to, MSP barracks tend to be very busy places and burden places anyway. So the idea here is to lower the burden on the barracks and improve the communication. The team unit primarily works on incident management, but special event is another area where we are collaborating and coordinating with our partners at the law enforcement. Next slide, please. Going along with the theme of responder safety and better travelers information, we've installed, we've done a research project to see how could we potentially lower the risk of accidents and injury for our workers. Removing debris from the roadwork happens to be a very dangerous thing, and we've done a research project. We've asked around our sister agencies, our partners in the group, in the neighborhood, and we figured out that a lot of us have started using lane blades. Essentially, they do look like snow plows, and the idea here is instead of the emergency traffic technician getting out of the vehicle and removing debris from the roadway, they can just push it off. It's a significant improvement in safety. We have all our vehicles. They are AVL equipped. We also have pan, tilt, zoom capable cameras installed on the aero boards of all our ERT vehicles. The idea here is the same, that the driver of the vehicle, they don't have to worry about which way the camera is facing. The TMC operators, they can monitor, manage the cameras. They can pan, tilt, zoom to confirm the incident, so that when the vehicle arrives on scene, you automatically have a much better view of the incident scene than any of the existing cameras that are on poles. Recently, we also started using unmanned aerial systems, drones. So the idea here is that so of course, drones will not be using them for every incident. We respond to like 30, 40,000 incidents on an annual basis. But whenever there is a big incident or a special event that requires a much larger visibility, the view shed of the roadway, we will be using tethered drones. We started the program with 1 drone, bunch more are on the way. The idea is to get our supervisors, they're licensed in to manage so that they can fly the drones. These will be tethered drones. I think FAA does not require a license for tethered drones, but state of Maryland does. So all of our supervisors, regional managers, and supervisors are expected to be drone pilots very soon. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I know I briefly mentioned about performance management. I think Nick was mentioning it. Teresa was mentioning earlier. You absolutely have to measure how you are doing, partly to make sure that to ensure that you are running your program efficiently, but also to this becomes a big selling point. We've been in Maryland. We've been doing our performance management for about 3 decades at this point. Last year alone, I think we responded to, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but I think we responded to over, what is it? I forgot the exact number, but more than 30,000 incidents, I think. And University of Maryland does an evaluation for us. And the way they do it is they run CARSI models to see how long the incident, a given incident would have gone on without chart. So with chart, of course, the incident duration shrinks. So the delta of with chart and without chart is what then gets monetized to get the user cost savings. In 2023, we saved the state of Maryland over $2 billion. Like I said, it not only the performance management helps us monitor our performance to make sure that we are running the program efficiently, but also it helps us secure those very valuable capital investment and operating dollars that we've been constantly asking for. Next slide, please. In keeping with the overall goal of early detection, better information to the traveling public, we've made some changes in our advanced traffic management system. For the longest time, we are very lucky that our operators, just by looking at an incident, they could tell from their experience how long the incident was going to last. How severe is the incident is always the question, right? How long does it take to clear it? But then right after COVID, we lost a lot of our trained, experienced operators, and we realized that we needed to do something to provide some sort of a visual guidance to all the other newer hires, plus all the other TMC technicians to see, so that they had a feel of how bad is the incident, and that has some operational implications. In Maryland, we have the predetermined traffic incident management plans. It's called FITIM plans, Freeway Incident Traffic Management Plan. Essentially the diversion plans for if an incident happens on a given section of the roadway, how would you divert traffic where they would come back? Depending on how severe is the incident, is the operator determines whether or not to implement a FITIM plan. Who do you contact? Do you need to contact the traffic technicians to make some changes in the alternative on the parallel arterials or not, and so forth? So as you can see that the system takes into account several factors: how many vehicles are involved, what kind of accident it is, time of day of the week, and so forth, to determine assign a value for incident severity. Next slide, please. The other exciting improvement we have done recently has to do with decision support. As Teresa was mentioning, and as I've been mentioning, that there is a lot of field ITS devices that we have, literally thousands of closed circuit cameras, our cameras, sister agencies cameras, in-vehicle cameras, variable message signs. It becomes very difficult for an operator to quickly access and judge which devices they should use, what messages they should push, and so forth. So we figured use some of the machine learning and automation so that they can assist the operators. And I have to be careful here. So we're not pushing anything automatic. The idea here is to decision support. Idea here is that within the workflow of the TMC operators, they will see specific suggestions as to which cameras they can monitor, which DMSs they should put messages on, so that you get the biggest bang for the buck, so to speak. Next slide, please. So what would happen is, when the operator is sitting on the ATMS, they will see the system will automatically identify the variable message signs that they should put messages on, and what message they could potentially put on. The operator then absolutely have to manually interact with the system to either to activate and say, hey, this message is good, or they could edit and they could change it. But the message is not automatically posted on our message signs. Next slide, please. So once you click hit a button to approve a sign, you see you get into another screen so that the operator gets a much better view of what they're activating. This particular slide I chose was because the ATMS actually allows one turn, a sign that's not on a roadway, on the roadway where the accident was, but on a separate highway, but there's one turn where the traveler's information could be useful. In this case, Maryland 32, the VMS on the Maryland 32 was going to tell the travelers that there is an accident on I-95, so that they could make a better decision of their, of the travel path. The next slide, please. In terms of automation, there are a few things that our ATMS does automatically. One of them happens to be road weather information. So when the temperature of the roadway goes below a certain point, icy road possibles and so forth, those messages go automatically. These messages, the operator do not have to intervene. The other automatic message that we put in is travel time. So basically those are built-in automatic messages that ATMS pushes to the traveler's information, road weather information system, as well as travel time on DMS. Next slide, please. The other improvement we have done with our ATMS, in line with better information sharing with the traveler partners, is operation awareness emails. On the screen, you see, for the longest time, we had pushed a very text-heavy email that says, hey, there is an incident. These are the vehicles that are on scene. This is what happened. Most of us engineers and most people actually are very visual in nature, and we read much better when there are graphics and color coding. Next slide, please. So the newer messages that we're pushing is it has a lot of graphics in it. It's color coded, it's easy to read, and the information is very easy to digest, so that our other stakeholders, our partners, and leadership, whoever gets these emails, they have a much easier way to read where the incident is, how many lanes are blocked, and who is on scene, and how we are handling it, and so forth. Next slide, please. I'll jump into some of the more traffic management. As I was telling earlier in my presentation, that this is one area where our program, the Maryland State Highway Administration, OTMO, we're kind of new in the sense that the way our agency is set up for arterial traffic management, our sister agency, Office of Traffic and Safety, is responsible for traffic signals. We, for the longest time, were responsible exclusively for access controlled highways, traffic incident management, travelers information, all on freeways. But in 2025, when we formally adopted TSMO, we published a TSMO master plan, we made some organizational changes. Among other things, we installed a group called Signal Review Group, who was supposed to meet bi-weekly. And we created some forums where the offices, the freeway management folks and the arterial management folks, we have to collaborate. And so one of the things I've used Central Maryland, the highlighted area in red, is for I-70 and US 40 in Howard County, Maryland. It's roughly 23, 24 miles of I-70. and it runs parallel to US 40. I-70, of course, is a controlled access highway, and US 40 is 2 lanes in each direction. There are roughly 30 signals there with a whole bunch of turning lanes here and there. So we've done something very interesting for us. Next slide, please. So on the left of the slide, you see what we call a fitting plan, freeway incident traffic management plan. Essentially, what it is if there is an accident between those two exits on I-70, it's a predetermined plan that says how are we going to divert traffic onto the parallel arterial, US 40 in this instance. For the longest time, those signals, those small circles, you may not be, the graphic is kind of small, but those are basically traffic signals. For the longest time, we, the freeway operations folks, did not interact directly, immediately with the traffic signals. And what would happen is the moment you divert traffic onto the arterial, it would be flooded, and it'll be a wall of cars. And anybody who has done traffic management, you know that if you wait a couple minutes to do anything with those traffic signals, at that point it's already too late and may not do anything as well. But so one of the things we have done recently is through the adoption of TSMO and through the interaction within the agency, the freeway and the signal operations folks, is that we developed some predetermined incident traffic management plans, incident signal timing plans for those traffic signals that are on US 40. The idea here is, as the graphic shows, that if depending on the time of day and the number of lanes blocked and the direction of traffic, you basically should be able to choose a predetermined signal timing plan and deploy it easily. The reason it became a little bit more difficult for us is in our TMCs, the traffic management technicians we have, they're not necessarily, we don't have any trained engineers, signal timing, so they wouldn't be able to do the judgment and develop on the fly of changing the signal timing plan. It absolutely have to be something thought about, pre-developed, so that they can just choose the signal timing plan and deploy it. In this particular instance, like I said, there are like 30 signals or so between 6 exits on I-70 from Maryland 32 to Maryland 695, where we have developed these signal timing plans. Next slide, please. The other exciting development in Maryland is our adoption of a CAV type application for arterial management. In Maryland, we have M.SHA, we have roughly 3,000 traffic signals that we maintain. Only less than 1/3 of those actually have Centrax, ATMS, ATSPMs on them. So most traffic engineers, we are all interested in, percent arrival on green and control delay, total delay at intersections, whether or not the intersection delay has gone up or gone down. So for the longest time, we didn't actually have a way of knowing how things are working. But we recently subscribed to one of the probe data analytics providers, Enrix in this case. They provide us the signal analytics data so it used to be slightly over 1,000 signals. Very recently, we were able to go statewide. So that hasn't happened yet, but it will happen very soon. So all the traffic signals in the state of Maryland we will have the ATSPMs available through that is derived from CAV type application. Next slide, please. Some of the other very exciting new developments that we are doing one of them is HOS alerts. I know a lot of other states in the union is doing that too. Basically, the application, they use Safety Cloud to push digital alerts to navigation systems and connected vehicle systems, so that people, as soon as an incident first responder arrives and they turn on their lights, the transponder activates the signal, the digital alert, and it goes to the navigation systems, Wazes of the world, and in-vehicle, other connected in-vehicle systems to let people know. In Maryland, our vehicles get hit basically at the rate of one accident per month. So we are very excited that this is something that we are able to do. At this point, we have about 175 of our vehicles, that number keeps growing, that are enabled with these house alerts. We also recently are subscribing to another third-party vendor called DriveWise. This is more for commercial vehicles. So the way DriveWise works is whenever there is a dangerous slowdown or there is an incident, the commercial vehicles, they will see an in-cab notification from about the dangerous slowdowns or accident ahead or incident from the third-party vendor called DriveWise. The other thing that we are experimenting, this is something that we are using our third-party vendor in collaboration with the University of Maryland CAT Lab to see if we could better identify and verify incidents. And one way we are doing it is a vendor called Vision. They collect in-cab still images, photographs of the roadway as the drivers are driving. So the image at the bottom of the slide is something that one of our CAT Lab partners prepared for me. So he was driving down the road and he saw that Waze was showing that there was an incident ahead or a stopped vehicle ahead. Later on, he came back to the office and he said, okay, is there a way the in-vehicle images from Vision can confirm it? And sure enough, the image that is that is also included in the slide basically shows that there is a stopped vehicle at the time. The idea here is that in our incident duration, one of the areas where we struggle a lot is identification and verification. So the total incident, our clock starts when we identify the incident duration. The way we calculate it for our performance management is the clock starts when you can identify that there is an incident. But we don't know how long the incident is there. We don't know how long the accident was there on the side of the road or blocking a lane. So this is one way where we can collaborate with the information we are seeing from the Wazes of the world and verify it with in-cab images that's coming through another third-party vendor. I'm very excited. This could have a very, very lasting impact on incident identification and verification. We are working with our partners and we are implementing a truck parking availability system. And I know it's probably a story throughout the union, but in Maryland specifically, we have a huge shortage of truck parking. And trucks would park because of regulation and so forth. Sometimes they would absolutely, there's no parking available, so they would park on the side of the road, shoulder, overparked on the truck parking. We have prepared a concept of operations. We have done a high-level design, and we are in the process of implementing a truck parking availability system as a pilot basis in Maryland. The other exciting thing that's going on in Maryland is our subscription of OD Analytics. This is once again through a third-party probe data provider, INRIX. And kind of when the Key Bridge incident happened in Maryland, there was a lot of question we got, like, so how are people diverting, roadway users who used to use the bridge to cross to the other side, how are they using it? This is one area where you get a very good granular view of where the traffic is originating and where they are traveling to. Instead of installing thousands and thousands of OD detectors, you get a statewide view a very granular view of how traffic is moving in your state. Just started using it, don't have a lot of, but we are very excited about these new applications. I think that is the last slide in my presentation. Any questions?
Okay, thanks, Raqib. That was a great presentation. A lot of information there as well. So one question, on those vehicles where you're putting on the lane blades, what's the incremental cost? Like, so if you had a regular vehicle versus this vehicle, is there like a huge incremental cost on outfitting the vehicle
So
with
the
those added components?
So, Nick, at this point, we have two vehicles outfitted, and the cost information. So it's not a huge cost, given the these things are not inexpensive. They're not cheap, but they're
Yeah.
not necessarily hugely expensive as well. But we started doing it we started with one vehicle, and we're awaiting some approval of funding to go to other vehicles as well.
Okay.
I can.
Um, so in the TOM, we do highlight the chart program that MDOT has. And um, obviously, chart has a significant role with traveler information and traffic management. What is your team's role in maintaining and updating all of that information, and how do you coordinate with all the other agencies on that?
So there are several layers to this, Nick. We have a quarterly meeting called the chart board meeting, where all the stakeholders within the state, including the district engineers, the local jurisdictions, and our private partners, they are able to attend these meetings where we share with them the plan, depending on, so if some of them are exclusively for public agencies, but some of them are open to the private partners as well, where we share our plan, we share what are new applications that's coming in, so that everybody is aware of what the program is going. In terms of sharing the information that we collect, all our information is exported to the public in general, including the camera images, the data that we collect from the detectors. As you know, the University of Maryland CAT Lab, they work as our data warehouse. So there is a funnel that's built in. There's a pipeline, so to speak, that automatically sends the data, whatever that we collect through our ATMS to the University of Maryland, which is then translated into an API. And if you are interested, if you are a third-party vendor trying to utilize the data and you have your correct API, you can just plug it in and you will be able to collect all the images from the cameras, the detection, not all, but there are a few that are some of the images that we do not share, but for the bulk of the camera images, detection devices, VMS messages, that information is automatically directly shared with anybody who is interested.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Raqib. That was really great information. I just want to open it up for questions for both speakers now, or both presenters. So one question is, and Raqib, you alluded to this a bit. What do you foresee the role of AI playing in your traveler information systems and traffic management systems? Just in general.
So we so far we haven't actually adopted any AI, but this is a conversation that is absolutely happening with our partners, including our system development folks. The What we are doing though is the decision support system that I refer to. They are not AI. They are built on the data that we have already collected. We have decades of data that we have collected, and the machine just gets trained from the data that we collected. It is not something we have not used AI up until this point for any of our travel information systems.
Okay, great. Teresa?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So we have used AI. We've used it for since 2017 when we first started with the then Waycare, now Recore platform. What AI was doing in our operation, our incident management platform, is it was actually scouring all of that found information that's publicly available, and it was running algorithms on it to bring it up to the surface with a level of reliability and confidence that there might be an incident out on the roadway. And it was helping us then reduce that response time for us to confirm that incident and for first responders to get out there. So we're really, really excited about how it was used in that application. We also have another program that's called pilot project that we ran, and it was also part of our US DOT SMART grant. It was advanced intersection analytics. So going back to the arterial level at the signalized intersections, we wanted to see if there was an analytical overlay that could go on our signal detection cameras, our video detection out at the intersection, and understand what's happening out there in terms of safety incidents. So are we seeing wrong way drivers at our signalized intersections? Are we seeing near miss incidents between vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to vulnerable road users? Are we seeing an increase of red light running or excessive speeding on our arterials? These were all things that we didn't understand if they were happening and the frequency which they were happening. So we utilized several different platforms, one of them being the DIRC system, overlaid that over our video detection at several intersections, and we're really able to use their AI technology to better understand the operational safety incidents that were occurring out at these intersections, these on our high injury network.
Okay. Thanks, Teresa. All right, last question for both speakers. Can you talk about the degree to which you've used the TOM in your agency, or if you haven't been using it, what plans do you have to use it? And so it's a two-part question here.
I could start off first. I did put my answer into the Q&A for that one. So RTC of Southern Nevada, we have contributed to the TOM, but we actually did not utilize it yet since it has been published. We are planning on using it, more so because we really want to look around for those lessons learned and best practices regionally and see what are those elements that we should be trialing in the future to make sure that we're focused on improved safety and operational efficiency.
So in Maryland, just like Nevada, we actually have contributed to it. I know Joey Sagal, Carol DeLion, when she was with us, they actively participated and contributed in the development of the plan. In Maryland, yes, we are. So the thing is, the part where we believe that it would be most useful is education and understanding. So when we developed our TSMO strategic deployment plan, one of the goal area was business process. And we basically said that, one of the fundamental goals that TSMO master plan and TSMO strategic deployment plan is that we want to make sure that everybody within the agency, they understand what TSMO is, and it becomes part of the culture. It becomes part of the business process for developing any project, be it simple, expansion or simple signal timing, solving a congestion plan, to all the way to a major highway expansion and so forth. And I believe we've been sharing this manual. I have a few copies. We've been sharing a few manuals with our partners internally within the agency, with the planners and highway developers who are not essentially very familiar with the TSMO lingo. They understand what we are trying to do here, but some of the elements, the TSMO, the TOM manual does a very good job of eloquently going over into all the elements of TIM, all the elements of traveler's information. So I think education and in the internal education and identifying the areas where TSMO can be part of the business process. It can be internalized. It can become the culture of the agencies where this would be the big, we will use it for the most part.
Great. That's excellent. Thanks, Teresa and Raqib. The information you offered today is very valuable and provided a lot of insight into what your respective agencies are doing when it comes to TSMO and traveler information and traffic management. Appreciate all your contributions and any future contributions you might make. So I want to thank both of you for your time this afternoon, and also want to thank all of our participants. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the day.